Hello, welcome. Today is Wednesday, September 29th of 2021. My name is Juan. I work as a guide for the Central Park Conservancy. We'll be together for approximately 15 minutes on this virtual walk, which will bring us to a landscape in the northwestern section of Central Park called the Children's Glade. I want to welcome all new visitors and many of you whom I've met in our in-person events throughout the park. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you today. Our mission here at the Central Park Conservancy is to preserve and celebrate Central Park as a sanctuary from the pace and pressures of city life, enhancing the enjoyment and well-being of all. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. As you know, we are using Zoom to connect today. Everyone is muted and only my video feed is on. Please feel free to use the chat feature on your Zoom control bar to say hello and comment. You can also use the Q&A feature, also found on the control bar, to ask questions. My colleague Jose will be answering questions on the back end throughout the program. Also, be on the lookout for links that will be dropped in the chat box, which will connect you to other events throughout the park. You will also see a poll pop up on your screen. You can respond to it or you can X out. I will share results once everyone has voted. I am also now going to enable closed captioning for anyone interested. Let me see if I remember how to do this correctly. Live transcript, yes, and then enable auto transcription. It's not perfect, but many have claimed that it helps them have a more accessible experience. You can also opt out to not have this enabled. In case of connection issues, I will reconnect again if I happen to drop out. If you disconnect, all you need to do is click on the link that you used to connect on the first place. The photos that I'll be sharing with you are photos that I took a few days ago, and one photo comes from our collections here at the Conservancy. This is a map of Central Park. Many of you are familiar with it. It's 843 acres, built between 1858 and 1872. This red box at the top corner there indicates the landscape that we are going to be exploring today. It's situated roughly between 103rd Street and 106th along Central Park West, and was completed in 2007. It's officially called the Peter J. Sharp Children's Glade, and it's a newly designed area in the nearby Great Hill of Central Park. This new woodland landscape includes a series of intimate glades, sitting areas, and connecting woodland paths, and they evoke rural pleasures and adventures for park visitors. This is the map that we are going to be following. We are going to enter the park at 103rd Street, where we're going to briefly head south to check out the pool, so to then ascend the Great Hill to our landscape of interest. Here we are at 103rd Street. Imagine that we took the C train to 103rd Street along Central Park West. This is looking north, and this is in the direction where the Great Hill is situated. We're going to be venturing and strolling through this heavily forested section of Central Park. We're now going to go across the street, and once we get across, this is the entrance to the park that we are going to follow. Immediately as we enter, we are greeted with this flower bed of hairy sunflowers. I never knew that there were so many varieties of sunflowers, but here we have a very special kind, and upon closer inspection, we can appreciate this beautiful yellow color. And I was surprised to learn, although I had an inkling, that sunflowers have something called heliotropism, meaning that they follow the motion of the sun. So they move throughout the day and they follow the sun. Some very interesting insights that you can learn as you explore and stroll through the park and connect to the beautiful flora that we have throughout these 843 acres. These are the promenades that we are going to follow. We are going to first head to the right-hand side. So to take a look at the pool, nearby body of water, and very close to us, you can see this lamppost here, with some interesting signage. It reads Explore Central Park with our audio guide. And upon closer inspection, we can see that there's a QR code. If you are visiting anywhere in the park, it's very probable that you are going to encounter one of these signs, as they are situated on the southern end, in the midsection of the park, and in the northern end. And this is an audio guide that has been made possible by Bloomberg Philanthropies. You can scan the QR code. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can pause the video and scan this code. Or if you don't have internet access on your phone, you can dial in this number, 646-862-0997, and you'll learn a lot of interesting tidbits of information about these very special sections of our beloved park. Now, as we stroll down this promenade here to the right-hand side, we can see there are plenty of people picnicking in the park. Today, the day that I took these photos, was a very pleasant day. Temperature was in the low 70s, a lot of people picnicking, and people out with their pets as well. Now, you might think that that I'm thinking of dogs, but I happen to encounter this lady here with her birds, a parrot, and I do not know what the other type of bird is, but plenty variety of pets that people own and bring to Central Park. Now, along this very southern section here, we can connect to this lawn very close to the pool, and we can see Canada geese frolicking and looking for food here on the lawn. Upon closer inspection, we can see that they're digging and looking for whatever to eat. It's important to know that wildlife has plenty of resources in the park, so we don't really necessarily need to feed them ourselves. As we get closer to the water, we enjoy this beautiful panoramic view. Now, the pond at this time of the year is covered with duckweed, and if it happens to become too big of an issue, if we get an overabundance of it, we will clear it up. But as it is, it's pretty manageable, and it has its benefits. The ducks that live in this body of water tend to like this particular source of very good protein for them. Along the edge of the water, we can see these white blossoms. These are asters, which are in bloom in the month of September. Asters, I've learned, are the birth flower of the month of September. So if you were born in September, this beautiful blossom celebrates your existence. Now we are going to proceed. This is our map. We have entered the park, we have checked out the pool, and now we are going to enter into our landscape of interest. We're going to take this promenade heading up, and then we are going to turn to the right-hand side. As we can see, there are a couple of steps. We have different areas throughout the park where you can access, and you don't have this dynamic of steps if you have mobility issues, or if you're in a wheelchair or on a stroller. So look for our maps. We have them available on our website, and they delineate and show you areas that you can have easier access. But we are going to follow these steps. We could technically continue all the way up over here, but instead we are going to turn to the left. And this promenade over here is not marked on our maps. It's a trail, and it brings us to the Children's Glade. And the glade is a series of several openings, several clearings. A glade is actually a clearing in the forest. That's what it translates to. And it was imagined specifically as a venue for family programming. So think of this as a playground for visiting families. Strategically placed boulders and lush grass provide seating in this series of open air auditoriums. Oftentimes you have performances over here as well. So we're going to climb up these steps. As we get to the top, we encounter our first clearing. Directing our attention to the right, we have a more elaborate one, accentuated with these 5 black locust trees. And those seating spaces, you can see them here to the right-hand side. Very quiet space, a very peaceful area. And again, completed in the 2007. We're going to explore a couple of others as well. And as we exit this immediate area, we encounter these beautiful blossoms, dark pink blossoms. These are phloxes, and phloxes tend to attract hummingbirds. So if you happen to be in the park and you're looking for that particular bird, right now we are in migration season as well. So if you're looking for interesting type of birds, it's unique or important to know of different types of landscapes so that attract different types of birds. Conservancy arborists and horticulturists are always working to bring as much diversity as possible so that we attract as much wildlife as we possibly can. Upon closer inspection, we can better appreciate their beauty. The name phlox comes from the Latin word for flame, and it reflects on the flower's bright colors. These flowers add, as I mentioned, variety to the landscape and attract those very, very special birds, the hummingbirds. Now, continuing on, we encounter another clearing. In this instance, when I took this photo, we see two individuals having a picnic. Here to the left-hand side, those unassuming stones serve as spaces for children or individuals to sit on as someone is performing here in this space where the people are sitting and lounging on this day. In the immediate vicinity, there's also this smaller cove, if you will, a smaller glade that allows for more intimate experiences. And on the other side, we have the Gray Hill, but you wouldn't be able to tell. The Gray Hill is a very popular landscape. On the day when I took this photo, there were a lot of people, and the shrubs that block this view and separate this experience are shrubs like raspberries, Allegheny blackberries, and flame azaleas as well. If you visit in the springtime, you won't be disappointed by the azaleas in specific. Now, continuing on, we are getting closer to our final glade that we are going to explore, or that we have available in this section of the park. We have the option of walking to the right-hand side where we connect to the Gray Hill, or walking to the left where we can keep on this miniature woodland on the western section of the Gray Hill. Now, once we get there, we also have the option of taking two paths. So it basically forks out in increments as you step in and walk in, giving you great variety of exploration. To the right-hand side, this promenade over here, this path, this trail takes us to the largest of the three glades. And if we venture to the left-hand side over here, it's like we're walking, we get to walk under a beautiful canopy of trees. And here's the promenade, as you can see, very direct, but very varied as well. And in the type of trees that you encounter as you're walking along here include May apples, woodland sunflowers, dogwoods, tulip trees, pitch pines, and chestnut oaks. Considering how small this space is, the variety is just incredible. And this tree just up ahead over here, this what appears to be a dead snag, caught my attention when I was visiting. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that it was a black locust tree, and I thought that it was dead. But to my surprise, when I looked up, I encountered beautiful foliage. So a tree that is halfway there, if you will, an element that communicates the transience of existence in the natural world. In the near vicinity, you can also peek out and see some of the more prominent structures along the Upper West Side. This particular building with conical roofs is the New York Cancer Hospital. This was a cancer treatment and research institution founded in 1884. The building was designed in the late Gothic and French chateau styles, inspired by a chateau in the Loire Valley in France. It was the first hospital in the United States dedicated specifically for the treatment of cancer, and the second in the world after the London Cancer Hospital. After outgrowing the original building and moving, it became what is today known as the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. In the early 2000s, the building was turned into luxury condominium apartments. Beautiful residence and incredible history as well. Now, walking along, we encounter this trail that will bring us to the largest of the three glades in our walk today. As we step through, we encounter this beautiful opening that is right now being used by people walking about, and those two individuals that you see sitting there to the left-hand side. When this landscape was introduced, it introduced an open area auditorium for the things that I mentioned: storytelling, music, theater, and dance performances as well. Now, children in particularly love this particular section of the park. They love to jump around and even play the hide and seek. Every so often you see community organizations, daycares, and even schools organizing events, and the children sitting on these wooden logs and stones as well, boulders or pieces of Manhattan mica schist, which is the same material as the bedrock of the island of Manhattan. And here an example of those arrangements, very naturalistic, very minimalist as well, something that is not out of place with the experience of being in this section of the park. As nearby you have the North Woods, the largest woodland in the park, and the iconic Great Hill. Now we could theoretically exit right from where we are and head over to our final stop. We can follow this trail and head over to the Great Hill, so to enjoy a beautiful panoramic view, but I instead want us to follow this trail heading north, and along the route, along this path, we can see this meadow consisting mostly of a type of flower called white snake root. And I was surprised to learn that snake roots have a toxin called trimetol, and trimetol is poisonous to us humans as well, but the way that it travels to us humans is usually when cattle consume it. When we consume cattle milk or beef that has been contaminated with this, we can become severely ill. Always something to learn, always something to explore. I want to know from you, which was your favorite flower insight that we've shared today? To the left, we have hairy sunflowers, heliotropism, the dynamic of flowers that follow the sun, asters, the birth flower for the month of September, phloxes, Latin for flame, or white snake roots, and that particular toxin that I mentioned called tremetol. And here, hopefully I can launch the pool. Let me see. All you have to do is, you can choose multiple as well. And then once everyone has voted, or most people have voted, I will share the results. Again, always something very interesting to learn, and these polls help us get a sense of how everyone is perceiving this information, and also helps build a sense of community. I see the chat going, there's over 70 plus comments, and Jose is on the back end answering any questions that you might have. Very soon when I finish, I'll leave the room open for a few moments in the event that you have any questions, and we'll help you find the answers. So the pool has now ended. Everyone has voted. I'll end the pool and share the results. And over 50% of you enjoyed the sunflowers and their dynamic of following the sun. And the second was the phloxes, Latin for flame, and then snake roots with 28%, and asters, 28%. So thank you for sharing. We're going to now exit this particular section of the park of the Great Hill. We're going to exit the glade. We're going to walk to the right. We're going to connect to the Great Hill. Once we step into the center, we're going to enjoy a panoramic view. This is looking west. Behind those trees is the landscape that we just explored. This is looking south. This is looking east. And this is looking north, a landscape that is going to change very rapidly in the days ahead. In the winter, you'll have open panoramic views of this very high point in Central Park. This is the route that we follow in the event that you want to recreate this route. I know many of you live in the near vicinity. I'll leave it up for just a few moments. You can take a screenshot, or again, you can visit us again on our YouTube channel. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you for visiting Central Park from home. There are a number of ways that you can stay connected. Just visit centralparknyc.org/mycentralpark, and you can also find us on social media using the handle @centralparknyc. And as I mentioned, I'll leave the room open for a few moments to help answer any questions that you might have. Hope to see you next week at the same time and on the same platform. Until then, from the Central Park Conservancy, stay safe and be well.